So welcome everyone. Today's forum is going to be conducted in both English and Japanese using Zoom's interpreter option. Please choose your preferred language from the bottom of your screen, English or Japanese. We do have two interpreters joining us today. Our first interpreter is Mr. Kohei Hayakawa from Tokyo, who will help us interpret from English to Japanese. Our second interpreter is Ms. Andrea Miyata from Okayama, who is going to help us interpret from Japanese to English. If you do have your name in Japanese, please add in your name in English on your Zoom screen. If you are not a speaker today, please turn off your camera and mute your microphone. The entire forum is being recorded, and we will also be periodically taking screenshots for promotional purposes. Welcome everyone to the United States and Japan Subnational International Business Forum, hosted internationally by Koyamada International Foundation, KIF USA, KIF Japan, and Junior Chamber International or JCI Japan. Our subnational hosts are the JCI Hawaii, JCI Honolulu, JCI Hiroshima, and the Japan America Society of Hawaii. My name is Gina Maeda, and I am honored to be your MC today. I live in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I work as a practice performance manager for United Healthcare. I have been a member of the Honolulu Japanese Junior Chamber of Commerce for over 10 years, and I currently serve on the JCI Hawaii Executive Committee as the Vice President of Professional Development. It is my privilege to now introduce you to Congressman Ted Lieu's message. Congressman Liu introduced a bipartisan bill. Congressman Liu introduced a bipartisan bill that establishes within the Department of State the Office of Subnational Diplomacy, which shall supervise federal support for engagement by state and municipal governments with foreign governments.
Hello, I'm Congressman Ted Lieu, and I want to congratulate all of you for participating in this year's U.S.-Japan Subnational Global Young Professionals Forum. The U.S.-Japan Alliance serves as a foundation for prosperity in the region, but it is also an alliance that benefits from strong ties at the subnational level. That's why what all of you are doing today is so important. As a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, I've spent the last year championing the idea of bolstering diplomacy at the subnational level. Actors like cities and states are engaging diplomatically more than ever before. Groups like C40, which is a network of cities focused on combating climate change, collectively make up a quarter of the global economy. Just imagine the power that a network like that has to address global challenges. Subnational engagement can also lay critical groundwork that eventually gets to the national level in terms of successes and agreements. For example, if Los Angeles and Osaka establish deep ties, chances are better that the US-Japan relationship will also stand to benefit. That's why I introduced the City and State Diplomacy Act to establish a new office at the State Department dedicated to subnational diplomacy. From supporting US cities on the world stage to fora for young professionals like the one you're attending today. Good luck at the conference, and thank you again for being practitioners of subnational diplomacy.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce you to the U.S. Consul General of Osaka, Richard May.
Hello. The strong ties our two countries enjoy today are not only due to close relations and strategic cooperation among diplomats and heads of state. It is also thanks to vast networks of our citizens through the many friendship associations, sister city linkages, and volunteer-led exchanges that we have a firm foundation of friendship and goodwill. In fact, Japan has more sister community relationships with the United States than any other country, more than 400. These linkages connect all but one of Japan's 47 prefectures with 46 US states. In addition to these partnerships, there are Japan-America societies in both countries that have long worked to strengthen cooperation and understanding between our two peoples. These efforts are complemented by exchanges in the private sector, among academic institutions, and between other entities, which create opportunities for Americans and Japanese to learn about our differences and appreciate our similarities. I want to commend those who organize and those who are participating in today's Honolulu-Hiroshima Forum. At the same time, I encourage all of you to continue to play a role in keeping our friendship firm and enduring into the future. The United States and Japan have accomplished much since the end of World War II. It is through grassroots efforts that we can deepen mutual respect, appreciation, and understanding between our two peoples. I have participated in and benefited from grassroots exchanges and can attest to its effectiveness and long-term benefits. After coming to Japan for the first time as a Mombusho English Fellow, which preceded the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program, I knew I wanted to become a bridge between Japan and the United States. And that has pretty much been the case for much of my diplomatic career. As we bid farewell to what has been a year of shared global challenges and setbacks, and look forward to a brighter 2021, I congratulate you for actively participating in contributing to the economic vitality of our societies, lending your support to our leaders' efforts to maintain a strong and unwavering US-Japan bilateral alliance, and for your role in fostering deeper grassroots relations between Americans and Japanese. Mahalo and yoroshiku onegai shimasu.
Thank you. I am honored to introduce you to Mr. Shin Koyamada, who is originally from Okayama and has been living in the US for over 20 years.
Yeah.
He is the creator of this forum. Shin became best known worldwide for his film debut co-starring with Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai, which was nominated for Academy Awards and 3 Golden Globe Awards. Shin also starred in the Disney Channel original movie Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior, which received the highest rated kids channel in Japan, UK, and Europe. In addition, he is also well known for producing numerous movies, shows, comics, and video games through his production company, Shinka Entertainment, since 2005. His wife, Nia, and Shin are the founders of the international NGO Koyamada International Foundation, or KIF. Shin?
Thank you, Gina, Maida, for the introduction and your amazing talent as a moderator. By the way, JCI Honolulu, I love your virtual background. I tried to match you today with this clothes. I will try to speak a little bit slower today so interpreter can catch up with English and Japanese. On behalf of Koyamada International Foundation, it is my honor and privilege to host today's forum with Honolulu and Hiroshima. I've been to both cities for many years. For Hiroshima, I used to visit the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum and the park every year when I was a kid, and even made 1,000 paper cranes. I don't know if you have ever made one, and contribute them at the park. I'd like to thank all 10 speakers from both Honolulu and Hiroshima. I'd like to thank Reina from the Japan America Society of Hawaii, who invited me earlier this year in March to Honolulu as a keynote speaker for their Hawaii Japan Sister Cities event. And also Tyler from JCI Hawaii, who helped us organize locally with the local speakers from Hawaii. I'd like to acknowledge Takato Watabe, a Deputy Executive Director of KIF Japan, who's been with us for a few years and has been helping us coordinate with the Japanese government, JCI Japan, JCI local chapters, and Japanese speakers on the Japan side. In addition, I'd like to thank Michael Holland, whom I have known for over 8 years to help us coordinate everything on the US side. Also, I'd like to thank Anthony Aljamin from KIF USA and SoCal Sister Cities International for his work. I'd like to have Anthony a little bit on the screen just to say hi for a few seconds.
Yes, hello, my name is Anthony Aljami. I'm the president of Sister Cities International, Southern California chapter. And I'm also the president of Koyamada International Foundation, USA. We are planning an upcoming event that is similar to this. It's a youth forum as well. It's called the California Youth Leadership Summit. And it is going to be held on February 6, 2021 online. And I join all of you to take part as panelists or participants. Please join us. Thank you for having me at your forum today.
Thank you, Anthony. Back to Gina.
Thank you. I'm happy to introduce you to Takato Watabe, Deputy Executive Director of KIF Japan in Tokyo. Takata-san has been a great leader coordinating this forum on the Japan side.
ご紹介ありがとうございます。KIF Japan の渡部隆人と申します。
I'm Takato Watabe from KIF Japan.
私は、もう3年近く、KIF でシンさんと一緒に働いてきましたが、このような機会、いただけて大変光栄に思います。
I've been working with the KIF Foundation in Shin Koyamada for the past 3 years, and I'm very honored for this opportunity.
今回ホノルルと広島の開催ということで、実は自分も両方の都市に行ったことがあって、この2つの都市が、お互い意見交流することをとても嬉しく思います。
I've been to both Honolulu as well as Hiroshima, Japan, and both cities are wonderful places.
今回のフォーラムは、日本とアメリカの青年たち、国際青年たちが意見を交流してお互いの国をよく知り、さらに活発なビジネスの競争を図るようなフォーラムになっております。
Today's forum is dedicated to coordinating with the JCI chapters in each city and making better relations between the two countries, the two cities.
さらにこのフォーラムはこの1回のフォーラムだけではなく合計6つのフォーラムから成り立っているものであり、その一つがこの広島とホノルルで開催できることをたびたびとても嬉しく思っていますので、今日はより良いビジネスの場の交流の機会になることを望んでおります。今日はよろしくお願いいたします。
Okay, and today's forum is not just a one-time event. We've been working together. It's one of 6 different forums. We're working to make better business and better relations between the two cities. So let's do our best today to make good relations between the two places.
Andrea, are you on the English channel?
I think I'm off. Am I not being heard? I should be on English.
You're on the main.
On the main, okay, yeah. So
page.
I'm talking over Watabe-san. So I should be on English only.
So for all English speakers, please get on the English channel.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
I've switched over. Sorry about that, Watabe-san.
No, that's fine. All right, back to Gina-san.
Back to you, Gina.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for clarifying for the interpreter status. I think it's the first time for a lot of us using that. So thank you for your patience. I am pleased to now introduce you to Mr. Keisuke Shimoyamada, Chairman of the Global Business Promotion Committee of the Junior Chamber International Japan.
Well, thank you, MC Gina. Aloha and ohayo gozaimasu. First of all, I would like to recognize the very important guest here. Especially Shin Koyamada-san from the KIF, and as well as Ms. Leia Kaneko, the president of the JCI Japan, Hawaii, and as well as Mr. Sugikawa from a JCI Hiroshima, a local president of a JCI Hiroshima. And thank you very much for your effort and to organize to organize this event, and it is indeed an auspicious occasion for the city of Hiroshima and Honolulu, not only to enhance sister city relationship, but also to empower a local economy, community, and the human resources. This year, we face such a drastic change throughout the year due to the spread of COVID-19. But I do believe that the people in Hiroshima and in Honolulu can work together to overcome this pandemic crisis and to create a brighter future together. And I'm looking forward to the further collaboration between two cities. And then next year, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you face to face. And today, unfortunately, after this remark, and I have to run for another meeting, but I hope this meeting will be fruitful for all of you here. And just like Woody Allen says, 80% of success is just showing up. So all of us here show up and participate this event to achieve something. And I do believe that this will be a good opportunity for all of us to sustain our friendship and create a bigger impact in United States and Japan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us before your next meeting. I am pleased to now introduce you to Ms. Reina Kaneko, President of Japan America Society of Hawaii. Reina?
Aloha. Thank you, Gina. I'm Reina Kaneko, President of Japan America Society, or JASH as we are known. JASH is pleased to be a subnational host for this forum, as it fits right into JASH's mission to promote the friendship and understanding between the US and Japan through the unique perspective of Hawaii. Hawaii has 5 sister prefecture relationships and 18 sister city relationships with Japan, 5 of which are with the city and county of Honolulu. Our ties to Japan are very strong. Japanese culture is embedded into our local Hawaiian culture and daily life in Hawaii. Our history together is 152 years old, beginning with the first Japanese immigrants to Hawaii, known as the Gannen Mono. JASH has been planning to host a live sister summit in 2021, inviting our Japanese sisters to Hawaii to reconnect. But given the ongoing COVID-19 crisis, we are now postponing the summit to 2022. We look forward to this time when we can see and visit with our friends from Hiroshima and all over Japan. Thank you to Koyamada International Foundation, USA and Japan, and JCI Japan and Hawaii, and to my friend Shin Koyamada for hosting this forum today. And a big mahalo to the 10 panelists today. We are looking forward to your discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Reina. I am pleased to introduce you to Honolulu Mayor Kirk Caldwell. I think we're having a little trouble with the volume on the mayor's video.
Let me try again.
Okay, thank you.
Aloha. This is Mayor Kirk Caldwell coming from Honolulu, and I just want to reach out to our friends that are part of the Japanese American community who are reaching out across the Pacific to Japan and to a very special city of Hiroshima. As you know, Honolulu and Hiroshima are the first sister cities in our two cities, established way back in 1960, not long after the end of World War II. You think of the tragic beginning of World War II in the Pacific here at Pearl Harbor on the island of Oahu, where Honolulu is the capital, and ending with Hiroshima 75 years ago, this last August. There's no more powerful relationship and a testament to how important communication is between our two great countries. There's no more important alliance than the alliance between Japan and the United States. And we're a bridge here in the middle of the Pacific. So this reaching out by the JCI from both Hiroshima and Honolulu, 5 individuals, youth, to talk about international exchange and what's important to our countries is critical to continuing this dialogue to avoid another world war. Human understanding begins human to human, and it really begins with youth. Our future resides with you, and we're asking you to come together, work hard together, and then make recommendations to the broader community on how we can continue to strengthen our relationships between our two great countries. I have faith. I think there's no important place to begin that bridge building than right here in the city and county of Honolulu. And I wish you all the best. I want to thank Reina Kaneko in particular for her leadership here and everyone else who's involved. I wish you the best in the upcoming conference. Aloha and mahalo.
Thank you. I am pleased to introduce Hiroshima Mayor Kazumi Matsui.
皆様こんにちは。広島市長の松井和美でございます。本日、日米サブナショナル国際青年フォーラムが開催されますことを心からお喜び申し上げます。とともに、
I offer my congratulations on the
そして日本青年会議所をはじめ、本フォーラム開催に尽力された皆様に深く敬意を表します。本日のパネリストである青年会議所のメンバーたちは、その若い力で地域に貢献し、人々がより暮らしやすい社会の実現を目指して活動されています。
So JCI is very important for utilizing the power of making a better place to live, better places to work and live.
リーダーでもあります。今週は私が会長を務め、世界の約8000の都市が加盟する平和首長会議を通じ、核兵器のない平和な世界の実現を目指す取り組みを続けています。そのようなあるべき世界の実現の鍵を握るのは若い世代だと私は確信していますが、その中でもより良い社会の
I'm very happy to
明確なビジョンを持った
be involved in today's meeting and to be the chairman of
していただくことを願わずにはいられません。翻って、現在新型コロナウイルスが世界的に猛威を振るい、人々の生活は大きく制限され、
Due to the pandemic of COVID-19, this has been affecting the quality of life of people in the world.
力が必要であるように、本日ご参加の皆様がフレッシュな感覚で先駆的な意見を出し合い、共同することがこの状況を打破し、今後の世界会のさらなるものと心より期待しております。
Pandemic and harnessing young power to improve our condition.
毎年提携60周年を迎え、そのお祝いのためにホノルル市を訪れた際には、市民の皆様に温かく歓迎していただき、両市の友情をさらに深めることができます。
We hope to citizens of Honolulu when they visit Hiroshima. Open arms when they visit Hiroshima.
皆様をはじめとする両市民の交流の積み重ねのおかげであると考えています。本日のフォーラムを通じて、両市の友好の絆がさらに深まり、皆様が両市を結ぶ友好の架け橋として活躍されますよう願っています。
And these are
本日ご参加
meetings for
ご検証
bridging
と
connections,
ご着
bridging
をこれから
relationships
お祈
between
り
the
いた
two
しますと
cities.
ともに、本フォーラムが実り多いものとなることを記念いたします。ありがとうございました。
Congratulations on today's forum, and let's make this a useful one.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think we might need to do an audio check. Shin, does Andrea have interpreter status for this meeting?
Andrea, are you on the English?
Yes, I'm on the English channel. It seems like it's not coming through very clearly. I'm getting a lot of comments on that. Sorry. I am on the English channel though.
If you're on the English channel, we hear your voice in the main room.
Really?
Mhm.
I was hearing both. I heard the video and Andrea's voice.
Both. Okay.
Yeah.
I've chosen English on the bottom of the screen for the language that I should be in. Is that correct?
Did you receive the link we emailed you? It's the link.
Gina, I think if
only
you
for-
you have to put mute the original audio.
Oh, okay. So that might just be me then.
That's okay. We're all new to this. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm a little lost.
Sorry
there.
about that.
That's okay. No problem.
Okay. Okay. I don't want to hold
That's
this up.
better.
So,
Okay.
That's fine. That's
yeah. I'm okay hearing both. So we can continue.
It
So
might
thank
be confusing for some people though. It's very distracting if you're not used to it.
Oh. So if it is distracting, if anyone is hearing both, I believe Janelle mentioned that you need to mute the original audio and then you will only hear the interpreter.
So
Yes.
if Japanese people are speaking in Japanese, and if you're on the English channel, you should be only hearing English, Andrea's voice. You won't hear any Japanese voice.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So now that we are complete with all of our welcome messages, thank you everyone. Today's topic is post-COVID-19, rebuilding sustainable business community through sister cities. Before we start, I would like to invite each of the panelists to take a minute and briefly introduce themselves. Please remember to speak slowly so our interpreters can keep up with you. First, we have Ms. Del Tanioka.
Aloha, everyone, and thank you. I'm Del Tanioka. I was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. I currently work in healthcare where I provide medical equipment to the Western region of the United States. I'm also currently serving as the 2020 State of Hawaii Junior Chamber International President. I'm very, very happy to be here and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Del. Next, we have Mr. Cosmo Hirai.
Aloha, everybody. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Cosmo Hirai. I am born locally in Hawaii, in Honolulu. I'm also the third generation bishop of Tohodaiji, Hawaii. Hawaii Tohodaiji no Jushokuなんですけど、I also serve on JCI Honolulu as the Vice President of International Development and EVP for next year. I'm also an entrepreneur and it's really great to be on this board. I hope to have a really great discussion with everybody today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cosmo. Next, we have Miss Janelle Denny.
Hi, everyone. My name is Janelle Denny. I was also born and raised here in Honolulu. I'm serving right now as the 2020 JCI Hawaii Secretary. And I work at Kapiolani Community College, where I run an internship program and teach business. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Janelle. And next we have Mr. Trung Lam.
Aloha, everyone. My name's Trung Lam. I guess I'm an entrepreneur. My family has a bakery. I have some restaurants, doing some nonprofit work with Kiki Desk, which is cardboard desks for kids. I also help JCI with their drone education program. And there's a bunch of other stuff that if you want to learn about, you can contact me after.
Thank you. Thank you, Chung. I would definitely call you a entrepreneur plus. So all of the above. And next we have Mr. Tyler Hironaka.
Aloha, everybody. Thank you so much for having us all here today. My name is Tyler Hironaka, also born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. I was our president that brought JCI Honolulu back in 2015. And I also had the opportunity to serve as our state president for JCI Hawaii in 2018. And I also sit on the board of directors with Japan American Society of Hawaii. And like many others here today, I'm also an entrepreneur, but still lots more work to do.
Thank you, Tyler. And next we have Mr. Ryo Sugikawa.
Hey, 皆さんおはようございます。
Good morning, everyone.
私は2021年度のJCI 広島の理事長の杉川と申します。
My name is Mr. Sugikawa. I became
生まれも
the
育ちも広島市で育っておりまして、
director or the chairman of the JCI
仕事事業としては不動産関係の事業や介護関係の事業をしております。本日はこんな機会をいただけましたこと誠に嬉しく思っております。今日一日どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you, Mr. Sugikawa. Next we have Mr. Takashi Ono.
はい、高橋大野と言います。
My name is Takashi Ono.
広島県広島市出身で、ずっと広島
Born and raised in
で育ちました。
Hiroshima, and I've always lived in Hiroshima.
で、私、仕事はガソリンスタンドの運営を広島で行ってまして、
I manage a group of gasoline stations, gas stations in Hiroshima City.
シェルマークの皆さんも知ってるかもしれませんが、シェルマーク
You
のガソ
probably
リンス
know
タン
the
ドです。
Shell gasoline stands. That's my company.
で、2021年JCI 広島では副理事長という役を受けております。
Since 2011, I've been involved in JCI Hiroshima. I am the vice chairman.
はい、今日はよろしくお願いします。
Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, Mr. Ono. Next we have Mr. Hideki Hayashi.
皆さん、こんにちは。
Hello, everyone.
私、広島 JC の林秀樹と申します。よろしくお願いします。
My name is Hideki Hayashi from JCI Hiroshima.
で、私はバックパッカーで、世界65カ国回りまして、本当にいろんなところを見させていただき、ホノルルにも行かせていただきました。
When I was younger, I backpacked to over 60 countries, and one of those was Honolulu, which I was happy to visit.
今日はぜひホノルル自身の皆さんの、日々のどのようなことを考えているのかっていうのをお伺いできればというふうに思って楽しみにしています。今日はよろしくお願いします。
I'm very looking forward to hearing what our Honolulu constituents are thinking and considering about this situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hayashi. Next, we have Ms. Hiromi Ikeda.
おはようございます。池田ひろみと申します。職業は、神社というところで、神主をしております。
My name is Hiromi Hideka. I'm the chief
ハワ
priest
イには
at a
学生の頃に、修学旅行で、学校のみんなで、伺わさせていただきました。そ
I
の時
visited
にも
Honolulu when
本
I
当
was
に
on a school
現地
trip.
の皆様が優しくしていただきまして、すごく
That time
自分の中
everyone
で身近な、海外になっております。どうか
everyone was
本
very
日
kind
よ
to
ろしくお
us
願いいた
and
しま
treated
す。
us very well, and so we have good memories and associations with the location. Thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you, Ms. Ikeda. And Next we have Mr. Hiroshi Michiue.
皆様、こんにちは。
Hello,
私は
everyone.
広島 JC の道上博と申します。今日はよろしくお願いします。
My
私
name
も
is Hiroshi
広
Michiue
島
from JCI
出身で、職業は旅行会社の JTB に勤務しております。
I'm from
今
Japan
日
and I
は
work in a travel
皆様と一
agency
緒に
known
お
as
話しでき
JTB.
る機会をいただきましてありがとうございます。どうぞ一
Thank you for
日
giving
よ
me
ろ
the
しくお
opportunity
願いい
to
たし
speak
ま
with you
す。
today.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for your self-introductions. I would now like to introduce questions that were submitted by both sides and have two panelists from Honolulu and two from Hiroshima address each question. The first question was submitted by the US side. The second will be a question from the Japan side, and we will continue back and forth. If all goes well, we will have 10 questions in all. In the interest of time, if each panelist could please limit their response to no more than 2 minutes, that would be much appreciated. And again, let's remember to speak slowly for our interpreters to keep up. Thank you very much in advance. Our first question from the US side is COVID-19 has caused unprecedented disruptions in the workforce around the world. How can we support people in our communities who are displaced from their jobs? And we will be hearing from Hiroshima first. Mr. Takashi Ono, please.
はい。広島で実際にあった例でもあるんですが、地
real
場
example
企
from
業、地
Hiroshima.
元企業同士が協力をし合って、
So several local companies participated together, worked together
で、新しい仕事を生み出す。
to make a new kind of work, a new sort of work.
それによって雇用の創出であったり、仕事を守るということができるかと思います。
And due to that, they were able to create jobs and to preserve jobs for people that they already had.
例えばタクシー会社と飲食
For
店、レストラン
for example, a taxi company as well as restaurants.
が協力し合ってテイクアウトの配達だったりとか、
And they work together to, for example, make a delivery system for food from restaurants using the taxis.
っていうことをすることによって雇用を守ったり、レストランでのお客さんが実際店舗に来れないことを守ったりということがあったので、地元企業同士の協力が大事だと思います。
So in that sort of situation, they were able to support local businesses to deliver food to people who were unable to come to restaurants in person. And by that, they were able to make new work and keep the work that they had, like preserve their jobs in that situation. So that's a real example.
はい、以上です。
That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ono. That is a very creative creative way to support your local restaurants. I'm very glad to hear that that was done in your area. Thank you for sharing. And next from Hiroshima, we will hear from Mr. Hideki Hayashi, please.
はい、よろしくお願いします。私からは JCI の役割としての、意見を言わせていただきます。
So I'll be giving my opinion from the standpoint as a representative of JCI.
JCI は、コーディネーターだと思ってまして、自分で何かするだけじゃなく、行政やさまざまな団体、専門家の力を借りて、課題解決の仕組みを作っていく団体だと思っています。
So I see my role as a coordinator, so not so much as acting on my own, but rather coordinating between government entities and also businesses to connect them.
ですので、まず現状のヒアリング、解雇された人たちの状況がどうなのかというものをしっかりとヒアリングしていくということがすごい重要。
So the first step in doing that is doing what we call a hearing. So sitting down and talking to people who have actually lost their jobs or have suffered from unemployment and hearing what exactly their situation is.
そして行政への 就労支援というか、何かできることがないかというのを。
Okay, and then working with government on the other end to find out exactly what they can do for people.
そして企業側にも雇用できるところがないかというところのマッチングを行って。
Also matching people who need work with employers who can possibly offer work. So we do matching services as well.
でまた就労に向けた専門家による教育だとか講義みたいなセミナーみたいなのを開催するということも重要だと思っています。
Okay, and also we do hold seminars, training seminars.
に関係者にいろいろアプローチ、JC が中心になってアプローチできるということが、していくということが重要だと思っています。以上です。
So we feel as JCI it's important, our role is important in approaching this situation and dealing with the different branches. So for example, I mentioned actual people, citizens, companies, and also the government entities.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hayashi, for sharing. That's very encouraging to hear all the work that you've been doing with the government and offering training. That's very, very encouraging, and I'm sure that your people appreciate it very much. And next, from the Honolulu side, we will hear from Mr. Cosmo Hirai.
Okay, thank you. Going off of the question, I do believe that Hawaii is quite different from a lot of other nations and states too, that we are very secluded from any mainland. Living was already very hard for people in Hawaii. I believe we can do a lot to help out by, at least us, supporting local businesses, ordering from restaurants, helping out food banks, finding donations to help those in need first, and then help them come up so that we can keep our economy going. I think another thing, as future entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs ourselves and the next generation, and we should probably find ways to create businesses, create jobs, help others. I do also know that maybe another thing that we can help with is Hawaii University has been offering free classes to help those in need, to give them job skills that they never had so that they can find and move into the workforce after this entire coronavirus is done. And it seems like not a lot of people know about all these opportunities that are out there. And it's also on us that I believe we should find these and make it more visible to the community. Yeah, I think the other thing is really great is, and I believe this will be brought up later on from Trung, but helping people like Trung who have helped with keiki desks, Ryoma Nakayama from Japan, getting sanitizer and face masks to the DOE, the Department of Education. And I think those kind of events and opportunities what we should be looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Cosmo. That's interesting that the examples that you used is actually more from, I would say, the private sector. Yeah. And then Mr. Hayashi's examples were also with the government. So that's an interesting contrast, I think, between different types of response to COVID-19, both being excellent choices and really depend on your community and how you can best support it. So thank you for sharing. Next, we will hear from Ms. Del Tanioka.
Thank you, Gina. Well, I was hearing that some things are very similar with what they're doing in Japan as far as job training and looking to build other sectors of our economy. For example, in Hawaii, we do have a lot of jobs available in healthcare and in IT. And I feel that maybe we in Hawaii could use this as an opportunity to maybe move away from tourism and start looking into other industries and get our workforce trained in other industries. but I feel like, we are really banding together and doing a good job as far as like helping each other out and really moving forward after all this.
Thank you, Del. I'm sure you have seen changes because you also work in healthcare, right? So there have been definitely big movements in healthcare and technology across the world. So that's actually very exciting to see those changes happening for the better. So thank you for our responses to the first question. We will move on to our second question from Japan. Is there any discussion about future measures in the government, companies, and the private sector, assuming that some kind of pandemic may occur in the future? And this time we will hear from Honolulu first, Mr. Cosmo Hirai.
Okay, thank you. I guess I'm starting first. So yes, I mean, I definitely do hope that there is a lot of things that they will implement next year, especially since October, we did hit a 1 million death count around the world, with America itself attributing 300,000 of that. There was a NSC, Global Health Security and Biodefense, that was in place during Obama's, that was largely disbanded, but still alive today. And I do hope that in the future, that they will put more money back into it, especially from seeing that there's about $750 billion a year going into military. Even if a fraction of that could come out into helping, that'd be great. Especially if the government can listen to people like, or organizations like the AACC. They called on Congress to enact 4 recommendations. I don't want to go over them right now because there is 4, they're quite hefty. But if the government can look at these recommendations that are given to Congress and how it works to help build our healthcare, putting money back into stocking up and doing any of this, this would greatly help not only our nation, but the world in general to keep any future pandemic and the current pandemic under control. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to put you on the spot again, Cosmo, but thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. And next from Honolulu, we will hear from Mr. Trung Lam.
Thank you. So Cosmo mentioned the previous administration had a pandemic plan that the current administration didn't really follow. So hoping that with new leadership coming in January, we can have a new plan that takes what we learned this past year and create a better plan for when this happens again in the future. Locally in Hawaii, we are still dealing with the short-term effects of COVID to our economy, our government budget, and our daily lives. Hawaii has been very lucky that we have very low number of cases. So we've seen success using social distancing, staying at home, and wearing masks. For some reason, wearing masks is really hard for Americans to do. I'm not sure why. One area where Hawaii is investing in building our capabilities is supplying ourselves with our own PPE and growing our own food, so we are less dependent on products shipped in from around the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing, Trung. That's some very, very valid points. And I am also very hopeful for our new administration in January. And next from Hiroshima, we will hear from Mr. Ryo Sugikawa.
日本においてはまだ私が質問ではあるんですけれども、まだこういったロングタームの議論っていうのは起こってないのが現状になってます。
Still dealing with the pandemic, of course, in Japan as well, but to date there have been really no discussions about long-term plans for dealing with this.
どうしても目の前の経済的な影響の方の議論が先走ってしまって、感染を防ぐというよりも、いかにこのコロナの中で経済を復興するかっていうところに、日本の政府っていうところは今注視をして、対抗策が遅れている気がします。
So at the moment, the Japanese national government has just been dealing with mostly the economic issues that are right before our eyes at the moment, like the problems that are at hand at the moment, without long-term discussions about the future. There have been very few discussions about how to prevent the disease from spreading. There's more focus on short-term effects and getting the economy back up and running.
本来であれば日本ぐらいの資金力や技術力、科学力があれば、今回のワクチン開発であるっていったところをもっと早く対応できたのではないのかなというところで個人的に考えております。
This is my personal opinion, but I feel that given Japan's high level skills in the sciences and medical research, that we should have been able to participate in the development of a vaccination much faster than we have. That our response was quite slow.
ですので、これからやはりもっと日本政府がその自国のことだけでなくて、国際社会に対して、やっぱり果たすべき責任をもっと果たす形でのこのコロナへの対策っていうのが必要なのかなと強く思います。
So hopefully from the spring, when discussions become from the new term of government, will hopefully become more focused on what we can do to prevent and also long-term measures. So we look forward to that from the national government in the spring.
私から以上です。
And that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sugikawa. It is understandably very difficult for the government to address so many different issues, even locally in Hawaii. It's been very difficult for the state to keep up with all of the different economic issues, social issues. So I definitely commend Japan and your government for taking care of your people and doing their best. We look forward to seeing, like you said, the long-term measures come January. And next from Hiroshima, we will hear from Mr. Hiroshi Michiue.
先ほど杉川理事おっしゃられたように、長期的なことはあまり議論がなされてないと思います。
So as mentioned by the previous speaker, there's been really no long-term discussions.
広島県では今現在なんですけれども、コロナウイルス感染拡大の予防のためにさまざまな対策を取り組んでいます。
So in Hiroshima Prefecture itself, the prefectural government has been taking measures and making recommendations in order to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus.
特に飲食店、観光のお店になるんですけれども、アクリル板や、衛生対策商品を県が無償で提供しています。
Especially regarding, for example, restaurants and cafes. The prefectural government has been providing acrylic boards, like partitions and sheets, free of charge to restaurants and sightseeing locations to prevent the spread of the disease.
これが今後の有効な対策になるかはまだ誰もわからないと思うんですけれども、いろんな感染症の予防にはなるかと思いますので、こういった事業は積極的に県が進めています。
So no one knows, really what's going to happen from now, but at least the prefectural government is taking proactive measures to try to prevent the disease, the spread of the disease.
余談ですが、こういったことは今回コロナの影響で仕事が減った業界の方が従事している場合もあります。
So of course, as we've been discussing, there have been many instances and many cases where people have lost their jobs due to the pandemic.
以上です。
Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Mr. Michiue, for sharing. That's very encouraging to hear from your prefecture. Moving on to our third question, and this is from the US. How can we help each other as sister cities and also fellow JCI members rebuild our economies in a COVID-19 world? And first we will hear from Hiroshima, Mr. Hideki Hayashi.
はい。本当に今日のような機会を大切にするべきだろうなというふうに思っています。
I think we need to keep, for example, forums such as this, online conferences like this that we're doing today. These are very, very important.
本当に各地域で文化や歴史とか異なるかもしれませんけども、どのようなことを取り組んでいるのかを共有することで、現地で活かせると思っています。
So depending on the location, of course, each location has their own culture, their own subcultures, and their own histories. So depending on those things, the actions that will be taken in each area will be different, of course.
で、またですね、このコロナウイルスの影響がなくなったときに、互いに遊びに行きたくなるように各地の魅力っていうものも共有すればよりいいかなというふうに思っています。
So of course, in the post-COVID-19 world, each place, has their own unique characteristics, and for us to be able to promote those unique points of each place is one thing that we can do.
以上です。
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hayashi. I also hope that these forums will continue. And next from Hiroshima, we will hear from Ms. Hiromi Ikeda.
先ほど林さんがおっしゃられたことがそのままなんですけれども、やはり今人と人の現地に赴いての交流ができない中ですが、
So as Mr. Hayashi pointed out, we're not able to meet in person and do things in person at the moment.
また、こういう時だからこそお互いの都市の魅力をウェブなどを通して、広く発信することが可能だと思います。
And so one possibility is to use our online services, use the online capabilities that we have to promote the special qualities, the unique characteristics of each of our locations.
JC はまちづくりに大きく寄与されているところだと思っておりますので、より観光地としての面だけではなく、細かな街の魅力というものを気がつかれてない観光客が気がついてない面を発見することができると思います。
So JCI is a very important key in doing so. For example, not only promoting the main tourist sites, the main sightseeing sites, but also in helping people find the kind of off the beaten path places that are not normally promoted.
その気がつかれていなかった面を広くお互いを交流することによって発信していき、特産やまた新しく生み出したものをまた興味を持ってもらうということが今できることではないかと考えております。
So something that we can do now is, as I mentioned before, promoting those sorts of places, but also promoting local products, things that are not very well known about our different locations.
今、私たちができることがつながりを深めて、またこの場だけではなく、いろいろなお互いの住む地域に住む方たちを巻き込んで交流していくことが長期的にお互いを助け合うことになるのではないかと思います。以上です。
So one way that we can help is just to keep promoting ourselves to other places, but also to make better relationships with our own communities. And that's something that JCI can continue to do. Thank you. That's all from me today.
Thank you, Ms. Ikeda. It does sound like Hiroshima and Honolulu seem to have those same priorities of promoting the lesser known smaller businesses and as well as the tourism spots because both are very important to our economies. And next from Honolulu, we will hear from Ms. Del Tanioka.
Thank you, Gina. Yes, I agreed completely with Mr. Hayashi that the main thing that we should do is to keep communication and the flow of ideas between, all of us through forums like this. I think it will take a long time for Hawaii to rebuild their economy, and especially since we are once again so heavily reliant on tourism. And this cannot be changed overnight. So we will definitely need help bringing our visitors back, and help, promoting ourselves, and as well as creating these relationships that make you guys want to come visit us. Thank you.
Thank you, Del. I know we're all looking forward to when we can visit Japan and Hiroshima again. So next from Honolulu, we will hear from Mr. Tyler Hironaka.
Hello. With JCI World President Itai introducing JCI Rise this year, I think collaboration across national borders is more important than ever. While helping to rebuild economies, I think is going to be important. I think the most important thing is to consider building up our people and our people in our communities. As embedded in our JCI creed or values, we say the brotherhood of man transcends the sovereignty of nations. As JCI members and active citizens, I think we can look forward to future project collaborations, perhaps between JCI Honolulu and JCI Hiroshima, as well as future opportunities maybe for twinning again. I know a long time, or not even that long time ago, JCI Hiroshima and the original Honolulu JCs shared a very nice and long relationship like this. It's something that in the future we can look forward to see how we can best honor that rich history that the two chapters have had, and what will be the best way to honor all the members that came before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler, and thank you for mentioning President Itai's JCI Rise. I think we are all looking forward to that. And next for our fourth question, this one is from Japan. Was there any system created to prevent the spread of infection, or was there a feature of unique countermeasures? And first from Honolulu, we will hear from Mr. Tyler Hironaka again. Tyler.
In the beginning, for Hawaii, there were some very difficult countermeasures for us to enforce, such as restricting air travel to Hawaii. We weren't immediately able to do this because air travel falls under federal responsibility versus what we're able to enforce here in the state of Hawaii. Though we're a lot safer now, our economy has greatly suffered. Tourism has only just begun to return, but we are nowhere near pre-COVID levels. During the first lockdown, just about 900 small businesses or local businesses have closed. Now we're at about 1,800 businesses that are closed in Hawaii. Very difficult, with the possibility of more closing in the future. It was definitely a steep sacrifice, as many of us in Hawaii now have to deal with the emotional and mental challenges or consequences following COVID. But I really believe that we should remember and consider that with all the information that we've had available and that was given to us, we did the right thing and we did our best for the people in Hawaii. It's my opinion that the protection of life and our people are far more important than any economic or monetary benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. It was definitely a big sacrifice. And I know we're all sad that we had to say goodbye to some of our favorite local restaurants, local businesses, and I am sure the same can be said for Hiroshima and around the world. So we are all doing our best to to support our local economies. So thank you for bringing up that point. And next, from Honolulu, we will hear from Ms. Del Tanioka.
Thank you. Yes, like Tyler said, Hawaii had one of the strictest lockdowns in the nation, where the government closed down many businesses that all except pretty much that were for gas, food, and essential supplies. And you know, it was difficult and it was very, very challenging for our population. Many businesses did not survive this, but it was essential in so many ways, not just for, you know, to save the economy, but because our people, our hospitals did not have the capacity or enough ventilators to care for if there was many people that were sick. So I think at our very worst, we had about 300 people who had contracted the virus, and that was pushing our hospitals to the end. So that is why we took that countermeasure to really, really shut down and you know, really stay at home. Couldn't even go to the beach or hiking. And we were all very, very frustrated, and it was a very, very trying time. But now that we're at the end of it and we have actually saved a lot of people, a lot of our elderly, it feels good, and it feels like it's worth it.
Thank you, Del. It is definitely very, especially in Hawaii, where outside is beautiful. So it's difficult to avoid even going outside. During that first lockdown, I think all of us really had to pull together and just do what was best for the community. And next for this question from Hiroshima, we will hear from Mr. Ro Sugikawa.
Hiroshima は広島県が、ちっちゃなその事業者さん向けにQR コードを置いて、それを登録してると、もしそのお店にコロナの陽性者が出たら通知が来るっていうシステムを作って、自分がもしかしたらコロナに罹患してるんじゃないのかっていう今通知のシステムが全県に貼られております。
So in Hiroshima Prefecture, the prefectural government has a system. They've enacted a system where they can give a QR code to each restaurant or each cafe or bar, and using that QR code, restaurant owners and managers can check to see if a patient who has been infected with COVID-19 has been in that location. So it's kind of a tracking device. And so thereby the restaurant owners can verify or confirm whether or not they've been in contact with someone who has been tested positive for COVID-19. And that's throughout the prefecture.
どうしても小さな飲食店とか小さなレストランとかっていうのは、自分のところでそのコロナの対策を十二分に、する力がないので、広島はそういったところを県とか市が、フォローして、できる限り安全に使ってもらえるようにして、ちっちゃい、レストランとかのサポートをしています。
And especially effective in supporting small businesses, smaller restaurants who may not have the means or the ability to take countermeasures, effective countermeasures on their own. And so this is one way that the CAN is supporting, the prefecture is supporting small businesses, specifically throughout Hiroshima Prefecture, but especially in Hiroshima City.
ですけど今広島が実は感染が今拡大している状態でして、レストランに対しての、自粛とか今そういったところの強い対応を取って対応しているのが今の状態です。
That being said, Hiroshima City is currently experiencing a large spike in COVID-19 cases at the moment, and so citizens are being encouraged to stay home and to refrain from going out. That's what's happening at the moment in Hiroshima.
以上です。
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sugikawa. I love that idea of the QR code. It's very helpful. And next from Hiroshima, we will hear from Mr. Takashi Ono.
はい。まずはマスクと手洗いの徹底というところが日本で行われていることだと思います。
So throughout Japan, one of the things that we've been encouraged to do is to wear masks and also to wash our hands frequently. So that's number one for us.
また各会社においては、ソーシャルディスタンスを保つために、オフィスのレイアウトを変更したり、またウェブ会議、リモートワークを使って、実際にオフィスに来る人間を減らしたりというところがあります。
One more thing that businesses are being encouraged to do is to reconsider the layout of the offices to observe social distancing within the office. That in addition to working remotely, working online, doing online work whenever possible. So that's another countermeasure that's been very, very strongly promoted.
また出勤するメンバーも、チームに分けて、シフトを組むことで、どちらかで感染者が出ても、会社の全員が感染しないようにというところの配慮もしていました。
Okay, another thing that has been promoted and that many businesses are enacting is breaking workers or dividing workers, staff into teams and making shifts so that, for example, if one person does become infected with COVID-19, they won't be infecting the entire staff. They'll only be possibly infecting members of their own team, not the entire staff of the whole company.
このように各会社自分の仕事に合わせて、取れる対策を取っているというところが私からの回答となります。以上です。
So businesses are being encouraged very strongly to use, for example, the countermeasures I've mentioned here, to the ones that fit their business to combat COVID-19, the spread of COVID-19. That's all from me today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ono, for sharing all of those countermeasures from Hiroshima. And before we move on, I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask if any of the other panelists who were not able to speak, to answer the questions, if they would like to add any comments. Okay. If not, we can move on to our next question. And this one is from the US side. At a time of distance learning and homeschooling, a generation of children are missing out on important social and interpersonal experiences. How can we work together to support parents and their children in our communities to pick up and build upon these skills following a year of social distancing? No, this is a hard question, but first we will hear from Hiroshima, Mr. Hideki Hayashi.
はい。確かに難しい質問だと思うんですけども、
Yes, it is a very difficult question.
中で多くの人たちと会うことは難しくても、家族でどのような会話をすることか、いろんな会話をするっていうことが大切だと僕は思ってます。
So in this case where it's difficult for us to gather in large groups, meet in large groups, the conversations that we have within our own families become important. And I'm sure that a lot of different conversations are happening through families, sorry.
コミュニケーションっていうのは日々の経験をどのように感じて、どのように表現するかということだと思ってますので、このような状況下でもいろんな経験をして、どう表現するか、その訓練をしていくっていうことがすごい重要なんだと考えています。
So to me, communication is processing our experiences, processing our feelings, and learning how to express that verbally. And so basically it's a kind of training to process what you're feeling, what you're experiencing within the family, within the situation, and express those feelings verbally. And that takes training.
以上です。ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hayashi. Family is very important, especially in these times when we cannot see each other physically. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. And next from Hiroshima, we will hear from Mr. Hiroshi Michiue.
同じく非常に難しい問題だと思うんですけれども。
I agree. I feel it's a very difficult question.
やっぱり学生、この1年間、高校生とかなんですけど、修学旅行だったりとか、留学とか、非常に楽しみにしていたものが参加できないということが非常にたくさんありました。
Especially in the case of, for example, older students like high school students who in Japan, they often take trips and then graduation trips as well. A lot of university students were looking forward to doing study abroad trips. Those sorts of group trips or school trips have all been canceled. And so those students have been really at a disadvantage this year.
なかなか学生の時間というのはもう限られた時間しかないので、それを取り戻すことは難しいんですけれども、リアルではなく、ごめん。
The time that a student has in school is extremely limited, and so it's really important. It's really difficult to get that time back. If an experience or a time is lost, it's almost impossible to regain that.
今会社としてですね、リアルだけではなくてオンラインと VR の映像をつなげて修学旅行ですとか、留学を体験するというような授業をボランティアで行ってまして。こういったことで少しでも、学生の経験が埋め合わせできれば、1年後、ステップアップしていけるのではないかと思います。
So as part of my work as a travel agent at a travel agency, one thing that we're doing voluntarily, free of charge, is providing such students with online experiences so that they can feel like they're traveling or feel like they're having the experience, but it's online, and we hope to let them kind of get experience of traveling, and so we hope that they'll be kind of advanced next year. We'll have an advanced program next year.
はい、以上です。
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Michiue, for sharing. I agree. It's very disappointing for our older students who would normally have school festivals, trips to learn and to share with each other. So I agree that is very difficult to give up. But I love the work that you were doing there with JTB. Thank you very much for offering those virtual programs for our students. And next from Honolulu, we will hear from Miss Janelle Denny.
Hello. I absolutely agree with everything that was said so far, and needing for communication and teaching children. Luckily, kids are so adaptable and able to be more flexible in how they deal with things. I think one of the bonuses or the silver linings of COVID is that we've really begun to utilize more technology and found how interconnected our world really is. And I think it opens up a lot of opportunities to partner with different cultures and different countries and students all over the world to talk to each other and to form relationships and to understand what's happening in different parts of this globe. And, you know, I had a pen pal from my 3rd grade class, and we still talk to this day, and that was just pen and paper. And so socializing with students and peers in Japan, in Europe, I think there's a lot of opportunities that we haven't touched on yet that we really could open up and provide to our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. That's definitely for you being in education and having your own son too. I'm sure you can see all of the changes for better and for worse personally. So thank you for sharing. And next from Honolulu, we will hear from Mr. Trung Lam.
Thank you. I have 3 young boys, so this is a very important issue for me. In the US, budget cuts will force schools to make tough decisions to cut programs like music, art, and entrepreneurship. The communities and the local businesses should help by offering discounted or free classes to families to ensure students receive a full education. With COVID, a bunch of new problems have appeared that didn't exist before. So I'm excited to see the different types of entrepreneurs who come forward with new solutions. One example that I just found out is a new app called Gather Town, built in Hawaii, that allows kids to socialize in a game, but also chat with video. If you have time, please check it out. It's not my app, but I wish it was. Thank you.
Thank you, Trung, for sharing and for plugging the app. Okay, our next question is from Japan. When you think about the future of the city, what is the ideal image of the city? Also, what are you working on and what are you planning on working on? And first from Honolulu, let's give Trung a little break here and we can start with Mr. Cosmo Hirai.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, I guess it's a very interesting question because what my ideal image of the city versus what is feasible are actually 2 different things. I would love to see that, you know, our city has learned from this experience of COVID, watching Japan and seeing how they handled it and nations across the world. I would love to see that our economy does come back together, does build back up. Everyone learns to be more cleanly, wearing their masks, understanding that it's not about the individual, but us as a whole community to work together to keep each other safe. I guess another thing I would like to see is, as Del mentioned earlier, that tourism is a very, very big thing in Hawaii. And that when anytime like a pandemic like this happens that shuts down tourism, our economy fails. I would like to see other entrepreneurs, as Trung said, help build Hawaii, get people the skills that they need to learn and then put it back into our city. As for what I am looking at, what I'm doing, I do want to work more with the JCI, the government sectors, schools, to put effort into the future of our community. And besides that, I mean, I guess I do have the temple, the virtual side, that hopefully I can help people mentally, spiritually, not as a religion, but as more of a psychological help for people in this time to move towards that. That's about it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Cosmo, for sharing and for being flexible. And next we will hear from Honolulu, from Mr. Trung Lam.
So this is like my favorite question because I spend every day thinking about this all the time. For me, the ideal image of Honolulu is paradise. It's very hard to get that image, so we don't want to lose it. But I think Hawaii is a paradise that can be shared with the world. a place you can enjoy living in, but we can also serve in a leadership role as an example for the rest of the world. Right now, I am working on helping students get desks for school, and I want to take that idea and share it with the world. I have desks that I've shipped to Seattle in Washington, and I hope to take it to Asia as well. I also want to help Hawaii build its tech and innovation industries, but in a way that is unique to Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you, Chung, for sharing. And next, from Hiroshima, we will hear from Mr. Ryo Sugikawa.
はい、ありがとうございます。今回のコロナを受けて、国と国との、リレーションっていうのも大事かなと思うんですけど、やっぱこういう都市単位、町単位でのリレーションっていうのを今後作っていかないといけないのかなと思いました。どうしても国と国との、国際関係っていうのはどうしても国家間の利害が出てしまうので、そういったものを超えて新しい国際関係を作っていくとなると、やっぱりこの都市単位のリレーションっていうのがいろんな形でもどんな形でもいいんであるっていうのはこれから必要なことなんじゃないのかな。そういうことができた街っていうのが、こういう危機の状態でも乗り越えていく力強い街になっていくんじゃないのかなと感じました。
So especially this time with the COVID-19 pandemic, one thing that this has made me realize is that, of course, relations between countries and countries is very important, but especially more than that is between cities to city, and also town to town. Because of these smaller, more closer relations, we're able to make better relationships, and this is the sort of thing that will help us overcome the pandemic, I believe. Because when it's on a national, or it's on a country to country level, a lot of different problems come up that we're not able to deal with. But on a level where it's city to city or town to town, we're better able to deal with issues that come up. So yeah, working together is like this is going to get us over the pandemic, I believe.
今回のこのコロナっていうのが今までのその国際関係におけるいわゆる七人スップによるコモンスペースを作れる新しいきっかけになるのじゃないかと考えております。以上です。
So especially with the COVID pandemic, one thing on an international level that I've noticed is that we are starting to make more common spaces like this in order to discuss issues and overcome the problems. That's all from me today. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sugikawa, for sharing. Next, from Hiroshima, we will hear from Mr. Hideki Hayashi.
Hayashi さん。あれ、消えた？ネットワークのトラブルでいなくなっちゃったんですかね。
I think so, yes.
戻ってこんな。突振りになるけど、大野さんいけます？
Gina, I think Hayashi-san had some technical difficulties and he's gone off the forum.
あ、帰ってきた、帰ってきた。
There
カム
he
バッ
is.
ク。
Okay, good, good.
林さん、
よろしいですか？
はい。
あ、すいません、皆さん、落ちてしまいました。申し訳ないです。私の思う理想の街、これ、テーマっていうのは、今の私の委員会で取り組んでいるテーマなんですけども、
This actually is a topic that my subcommittee is dealing with right now.
非常にいろんな形があるので、皆さんおっしゃるように頭を悩ませている状況です。
And so, as you know, there are many, multitude of possibilities, and this is something that we are very confused about. Not confused, but we're kind of grappling with at the moment.
素直に思うのがですね、住んでいる人たちが自分たちの町のことを好きであり続けられること、誇りに思い続けられるっていうことが重要なんじゃないかなと思っています。
So we believe that one of the most important things is that the people that live in the city, the residents of the city, actually like the city that they live in, and that they're proud of it. This is a very important point.
確かにさまざまな形で街が進化していくっていうことは大切だと思うんですけども、最も重要なのは、例えばホノルルがホノルルらしさを保ち続けられるかどうかっていうところはすごい重要になってくるかなと思ってます。
So of course it's important that a city continues to develop and go in new directions. However, it's also important that the city maintains its own unique characteristics. So for example, in the case of Honolulu, you would want Honolulu to keep its own unique characteristics, even despite new developments and new progress.
例えばホノルルがニューヨークのようになってしまっては、ホノルルに住む理由もなくなるでしょうし、海外の人たちもホノルルに行く理由もなくなってしまうかなというふうに思ってますので、そのらしさというものを大切にするということが重要だと考えています。
So for example, if Honolulu were to become a city like New York, it would lose the unique flavor, the unique essence of being Honolulu, and there would be no reason for people to go there. And so keeping that uniqueness, the unique flavor, or the unique characteristic of each place, of each city is very, very important.
すいません、回答直前に落ちてしまいましてすいませんでした。以上です。
And I apologize for the technical problems I had and that caused me to leave the meeting momentarily.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you, Mr. Hayashi. I agree that Hiroshima and Honolulu are very unique, and we both do struggle to keep that uniqueness that is special to us. Were there any other panelists who did not get to answer this question or the previous question that would like to contribute an answer? Okay. If not, we can continue to our next question. And this one is from the US. From your perspective, what do you feel will be the new normal, and what can we do to better prepare ourselves for it? And from Hiroshima, we will hear from Mr. Ro Sugikawa.
はい。個人的にこのニューノーマルな状態っていうのは、遅かれ早かれ来てた状態かなと思ってます。
So personally, I feel that the new normal is kind of, forthcoming.
今回のこのウェブ会議が当たり前になってきたりとか、ネットを使ったあらゆるものが当たり前になるっていうのは、多分コロナがなかったら10年スパンで起きていたことが、今回コロナで1年という短期間で世界中で進んでしまったんじゃないのかなと私は思っています。
So for example, these sorts of online forums or online discussions, online meetings, also using the internet or online systems to do work and to communicate. If we had not had the COVID-19 pandemic, these things would have taken us 10 years to become the new normal, to become a norm for us. However, because of the pandemic, within 1 year, this has become our new normal now.
この状態に私たちが対応していくためには、このデジタルトランスフォーメーションっていうのをもっと積極的にもう受け入れて、それがもう世界の時代の流れなんだと思って、もう取り入れていかないことには、この先も何もできなくなっていくんじゃないのかなと私は思っています。以上です。
So personally, I do believe that we do need to make the transformation to the digital world. And that this needs to become our new norm. We need to kind of get with the times and go with the flow in this and really get in line with digital everything pretty much. This is my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sharing, Mr. Sugikawa. I do agree that technology has helped us in many ways in this new normal. Next from Hiroshima, we will hear from Ms. Hiromi Ikeda.
"私はニューノーマルというのが革命や維新の後の世界であると思っています。
So the new normal is going to be one of invention.
今までの物事が混乱の中に生き残るためにいろいろな変化や新しいさまざまな考えが生まれてくると思います。
And because of this, the situation that we're in, we are seeing new ideas, new systems, and new ways of thinking being born or coming out of this situation.
新しいたくさんの考えが生まれると必ず淘汰が起きると思います。より良いものがこの常識として残っていくのがこの状態だと思います。
And of course, because we're having new ideas, these new ideas will get us through, and these will be the things that kind of pull us through it and will be lasting after the pandemic ends.
また大きな変化があると常識となった考えとまた反対の考えやついていくことができなかった人や企業が出てくると思います。
So with any kind of difficult situation, there will be kind of a common movement, and then of course other people that go against that movement, of course.
それをそのまま消し去るのではなくて、手を差し伸べて、より良い道に導いていくことがこの痛みを消すために必要と思っています。
And we need to, and within that difficulty of having a difficult situation and then moving with that, we just need to work together to get through it, I think.
さまざまな状態にいち早く対処できるのが青年会議所と思っておりますので、最善の状況を見極め、誰一人できるだけ置いていく人がいないように目を広く配らせていくことが今できる準備であると思います。
And JCI has been very, very important in getting us through the pandemic in terms of getting and disseminating new information and working proactively.
以上です。
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ikeda, for sharing. Next from Honolulu, we will hear from Ms. Janelle Denny.
Yes, absolutely. With the digital age and technology, and that we really can't tell what the new normal will be just yet. On the more individual level, though, I think people are going to be more multi-skilled. They're gonna have not put all of their eggs in one basket, I guess, not count on just one thing and be more adaptable and versatile in their careers, more entrepreneurial and marketable to different industries. It will be, I think people will be more flexible in their work day, more remote working, more online working, hopefully we get back to being able to visit and travel soon, though. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. I do agree. I feel like in this time that we're working from home, I've actually personally started learning Korean. So it's, you definitely need to make the most and make yourself marketable, like you said, and flexible. So thank you so much for sharing, Janelle. Next from Honolulu, we will hear from Mr. Tyler Hironaka.
Thank you. I think if we take a more careful look into what's already happening, you know, we kind of can see where the new normal may be. You know, like Janelle has mentioned, people are working from home more often, and people are doing a lot more online shopping. You know, for businesses, I feel having an online presence will be an absolute must. For families in the U.S., particularly with more people working from home and remotely, I think the need to live in the bigger cities will be not as important. You know, so we may see a lot of people move back out into the suburbs. So the population may be more spread across out the various states. But yeah, and to reach those people, it's going to be very important to have that online presence. So platforms like Amazon, Etsy, places where people can reach those kinds of consumers, I think will do or a lot better. Whereas some traditional brick and mortar stores may have to get more creative in how they bring their customers to their stores. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. So we are at 15 more minutes left in our time. So in the interest of time, I suggest that we hear from one panelist each for the next few questions, if that is okay with our speakers. Okay. Sorry about that. Hopefully we have some time at the end if anyone would like some final comments or statements. So if we move on to our next question, this one is from Japan. And this is, what is the secret of maintaining its attractiveness as a tourist destination? Also, what kind of future are you envisioning after the end of the current coronavirus infection? So I believe this is asking for Hiroshima and Honolulu, both being tourist attractions, how we can maintain that in a COVID world. First from Honolulu, if Trung or Tyler would like to take this question. Oh, Trung is waving his hand. Okay.
I'll save you, Tyler. I'll save you. Okay, so like my previous answer to the other question, Hawaii is paradise. So I think natural beauty and culture is what the secret in maintaining our attractiveness. We need to make sure native plants and animals do well and that we don't overdevelop the state. We need to export more aloha so people understand how special this place really is. Many have understood for a long time that relying on tourism was dangerous. And in 2020, we got to see the negative effects of doing so. More people now are focused on innovating our economy in many different sectors. One, sector of finance, by creating carbon credits, planting native Hawaiian trees like koa. Clean energy technology like PV, salt water, hydrogen, and geothermal. And last, exporting the culture of Hawaii, not just in food, but in services and technology as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chung. Those are all very excellent suggestions for our state to pursue. And next from Hiroshima, if Mr. Takashi Ono or Ms. Hiromi Ikeda, if either of you would like to answer. Mr. Ono? Thank you.
はい、大丈夫です。広島も観光地であってですね、ただ観光に来られる方の、主な理由としてはやはり原爆ドームの存在があると私は思っています。
So of course, Hiroshima is also a major sightseeing destination in Japan. The main sightseeing location within Hiroshima City is, of course, the A-bomb dome.
それをですね、これから広島が未来に向かっていくために、本当に国際平和文化都市として、世界の中でも平和の象徴の街となっていくことが広島に大切なことだと思っています。
And moving into the future, I really do believe that it's important for Hiroshima to continue to promote itself as a city of peace, and that will help us to preserve and maintain the image of the city.
コロナウイルスの収束後っていうのは、広島を訪れた方が広島にいることで平和を感じていただけるだけでなくて、安全安心に過ごしていただけるような広島の街っていうのにしていくべきだと私は思っています。以上です。
So in the future, when people do visit the city of Hiroshima, I would hope that they would not just come and just enjoy the city and then leave. I would hope that they would come and feel that Hiroshima really truly is a city of peace and a city of safety and security, and to carry that feeling back out with them after they leave the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ono. I also enjoy visiting Hiroshima, so I'm hoping to see your beautiful city again soon. So moving on to our next question, which was submitted from the US. What is your favorite positive personal experience or story you have heard to come out of COVID-19? And does it drive you to pursue any action items or topics that were discussed today? From Hiroshima, if Mr. Takashi Ono or Mr. Hiroshi Michiue would like to answer this question. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ono.
はい。はい。ポジティブな話として、やはりいろんなところで助け合い、支え合いというのが、体感できたというか、自分もそうですし、助けられましたし、助けてる人を見るっていう、この支え合いっていうのが、すごくいい経験というか、嬉しかったです。
So on the topic of positive stories and personal stories, I have seen many examples of people helping each other and supporting each other, and also I have also been helped by someone.
大変な時だからこそ、このように人と人だったり、会社と会社だったり、行政だったり、いろんなところが助け合っていくっていう、このピンチをチャンスに変えていくようにできていければなと、このコロナウイルスを経験して思いました。以上です。
And so because of the pandemic that we're in right now, it has been very important and very crucial that we help each other as individuals, that businesses help other businesses, and that government helps where they can as well. And this is very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ono. From Honolulu, if Cosmo Hirai or Janelle Denny would like to answer this question.
I mean, I can take it.
Okay, thank you, Cosmo.
I mean, first off, one of the best things that came out of this was this forum. I got to meet everybody here, and I got to hear a lot of great discussions that came out of this. but always, as a priest myself, as the bishop, I always talk about looking towards the positives, right? We should always be looking towards the positives, and if we keep ourselves on the negative, it destroys us. So I think it's really nice during my sermons every week. It's hearing the stories from the members, the congregation, how they talk about them as a family getting closer. Everyone learning more about understanding, compassion towards others, seeing around the world, humility. But besides that, also, I mean, I think just worldwide, globally, a lot of businesses or bigger giants closing down, less cars on the road. We see that there's less carbon. Everyone can see the impact of not having that many cars, a bit, industrial businesses open, and that we should be working towards a cleaner world. I think that really got to everybody. And then just like everyone has been speaking, like Mr. Sugikawa, Ms. Ikeda, businesses moving into virtual. I think it's really great to see that we're finally moving globally into the future. And I do enjoy everyone's conversation today. I really liked it. I really want to take all the ideas that everyone threw out, bring it together, and then bringing other organizations together, creating the resources and to help in the community. Not just one single individual thing that I can choose from this conversation, but everything as a whole. That's it. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Cosmo. And as we move into our final question, we would like to take a group photo at the conclusion of today's forum. So just to help people prepare to turn on their cameras after we are done, we will finish with our last question from Japan. Is there discrimination or prejudice against individuals or companies that develop the coronavirus in Honolulu? And from Honolulu, if Del Tanioka or Janelle Denny would like to take this question. Del?
I'll take it. Thank you. As far as like outright discrimination, I don't think that was the case. At first, if a business or reported having a case there, then people would be careful for a little while. But the businesses really stepped up and cleaned up if that happened. And their consumer confidence was restored very quickly, I would say. And as far as individuals who had it, Hawaii is a place of like aloha, and we care about each other a lot. And I feel that there was not really discrimination. It was more like a culture of let's take care of each other and let's get you help or whatever you need. So I'm really actually proud of the way that we handled each other and the virus and the way our businesses were able to step up as well. That's all.
Thank you, Del. Okay, and from Hiroshima, if Ms. Hiromi Ikeda or Mr. Hiroshi Michiue would like to answer this question, please.
Michiue-san、どうしましょう？いいですか？すいません。はい。実際にコロナの偏見はあったと思います。先日なんですけれども、接触者というコロナにかかった方とちょっと遠距離少し離れたところなんですけれども、接触があったという知らせを受けました。
So there has been a little bit of discrimination here in Japan. For example, one specific incident was I received information or notification not from someone who had been directly infected with the COVID-19 virus, but someone who had contact with someone who had been infected.
その時までそこまで気にはしてなかったのが現実なんですけれども、周りのたまたまいらっしゃった方がさーっと去っていくんですね。で、その姿を見たとき、すいません。
どうぞどうぞ。
はい、その姿を見たときに、あ、やはり偏見っていうもの、少しながら皆さんに持っているんだっていうふうなことを身をもって体験しました。
So I didn't think anything personally. However, I watched as people immediately surrounding that person, they weren't obvious in their actions, but they just kind of like slowly moved away from the person. And so I did feel that there was some prejudice in that situation.
事業主としては、やはりもう自分がコロナに感染していると思いながら、最善のうつさない努力をしながら、今からは行動していかなければいけないなというふうに、切に思っています。以上です。
And as someone who is involved in business, of course, I do try to take the utmost care in how I conduct myself, how I handle myself, and just taking care of myself. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ikeda, for sharing. And thank you to all of our panelists for sharing your insight and your stories today.